Hi everyone, I'm going to just get started and anyone who logs in can join us as they come on board. I'm coming to you live from Cafe Papa Roti in the west end of Vancouver. So hello and welcome. I don't typically do these in a coffee shop, but we're having some challenges with the space that we're in. So we thought, let's give it a try today and see how it goes. So here we go. I'm going to share my screen and we'll get going here. Oh, one sec, I've got some technical difficulties here. Extension. Okay, let's see, screen share, here we go. Okay, all right, so you can see my slides and my face, and we're ready to go. Great. So today we're going to talk about how to reach the right audience through paid promotion with social paid promotions. A little bit about me, in case you don't know me already. My name is Christina, and I've been working in digital media since the early days of the internet, and I really honed my expertise when I created the education programs website for the Vancouver 2010 Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games. Since then, I opened my own business called Antenna, where we help you create branded content and social media, and so we do your social media management on your behalf as well. The whole point is to help you grow your community through social media and online content. And pretty much everything that I'm showing you today and in any of these webinars, we can help you implement. So our typical clients work with us on a monthly engagement, and we help them through a variety of things, from strategy to creating content on their behalf to interacting with their fans and their influencers. So let's get going. So one of the things that a lot of people come to me with in the early days of working with me is they're expecting a really quick return on their investment with social media because they hear all these overnight runaway success stories. And I just wanted to put right up front that it's not always that easy. Social media isn't magic. Easy wins come from a variety of factors. So it could be that your competition's not online yet. And so once you start going online, then you're beating your competition to the punch. And so then you're going to have an overnight success. Or you could be solving a very specific problem that a lot of people have been having pain points. So once you're out there online, people are able to see that you exist and you're solving a great problem that's out there. And that can also contribute to an overnight success. And one example that I have is we recently went on a road trip from Newfoundland to Vancouver, and we're listening to a lot of RV podcasts. And one of the podcasts was talking about how they're creating these websites for RV campgrounds, and how immediately they get such high return on their investment for the clients. But part of the reason for that is because all of these things, their competition's not yet online, yet all of their customers used to, from the image on the screen you see, it used to be older people looking at maps, but now even the older people are using their smartphones and Google Maps to find these RV campgrounds. So if you're not on Google's map, or if you're not easily found online, you're being missed by a whole swath of people. So as soon as they have a website, they have instantly tripled their sales. And so that's an example of an overnight success, where there's a variety of factors that contribute to that overnight success. The reality is that social media plus a great product or service plus time will generate sales. So it's good to know that ahead of time as you're getting into this. Social media definitely has better reach than traditional media. The whole point is about increasing visits to your website and then converting them to sales from your website. You want to have improved search ranking, and that's what social media can help with. And it definitely builds your trust and credibility as you're putting content out there that's satisfying a niche audience. And improved customer service. I mean, you want to be able to provide customer service on whatever communication device your potential customers are on. So those are just some things to keep in mind. And online content marketing, sometimes called inbound marketing, that's what we're talking about when we talk about social media and blog posts. It's really about providing the content that your potential audience wants on whatever device that they're on already. So it's inviting them rather than interrupting them. So that's, whenever you hear me say online content marketing, that's what I'm referring to. I also wanted to define organic early on, because you'll hear a lot of people talk about organic reach and organic content versus paid or promoted. So organic is basically when your content or your reach is as is, where is. So for example, you could have a blog post that you just write and it's on your website, and someone finds it through a Google search, or they find it through the just going directly to your website. That's called organic. It could also be like a Facebook post that you put out there and you don't do anything to boost it or promote it. It's just out there for people to find. So that's what it means when we say organic. So paid promotion, what we're talking about today, is all about buying extended reach for your content on social networks. It's sometimes called sponsored posts or boosted posts or even ads. I often use those phrases interchangeably. So when we talk about paid promotion, we're basically saying you're paying Facebook to help extend the reach of that particular post, or paying LinkedIn or Twitter or Pinterest, that kind of thing. So that's what we're talking about today. So, oh yes, and I just wanted to pause for 1 sec to say, feel free to ask questions throughout the webinar. My trusty assistant, Greg, will let me know if you've put any questions in the chat window, and I'll answer them as they come up. And we'll also have a Q&A at the end. So why pay to promote? Well, your content is, these days, you've probably noticed if you have a Facebook page or a LinkedIn business page or any social network, your content's less and less likely to be seen by your audience organically. There's a variety of reasons for that. A big part of it is that there's a lot more competition out there. In the early days of social media and you had a business page, you might have been one of the few out there. So your content's showing up in your fans' newsfeed. But as more and more businesses are on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and all that, the more content's out there, the more people you have to compete with. And then coupled with that, all the social networks are trying to make sure the content's relevant for their audience, because they're trying to strike a balance between satisfying their end user, like the people who are just scrolling through their Facebook feed or their Twitter feed, and a balance between the marketing people who are paying them, the businesses who are paying them. And so what they want to do is make sure that the content that's showing up in someone's newsfeed is actually relevant and interesting for them. So in order to compete with all of this, in order for you to get your content seen, there's two main things you really need to consider. One is to make sure that your posts are really good, that your content is really interesting to your target audience, because the more people, so if a small percentage of people see the content, if they like it or comment on it, then the social networks start to show it to more and more of your fan base. And besides the reach that it'll get through the person commenting on its extended network. So if you have great shareable content, you're going to have great organic reach. And the other way, of course, is to pay Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn or Instagram to push that content to a niche audience. And then you'll get the extended reach. And if you do them both, if your content's really good and you pay to promote it, then it's going to get a real great combination of paid versus promoted. And the little graph that I have showing you on screen, you can see the light yellow is the organic reach, and the dark yellow is the paid reach. That shows you the difference. When you pay Facebook to promote your content, you get way, way, way higher return on your investment. So paid promotion is available on all the big platforms, and it's coming to all the other platforms as well. So we think Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and then of course Google. Google's the master of all this paid promotion. They started with AdWords, which helps you get higher search ranking in Google. Then, of course, there's YouTube display ads and whatnot. And then the Google Display Network is more like ads that you see on websites and blog posts and at the front of YouTube as well. So all of these things you can consider as paid social promotion. There's just an example here of what a promoted tweet might look like. So what you need to prepare for your paid promotion, you need to think about creating basically a mini strategy for each of every time you want to do a promoted post. So think about what your marketing objective, what are you trying to achieve? Think about your overall goals. Are you trying to drive traffic to a website? Are you trying to increase the likes on your page, increase your fan interaction? Are you trying to invite people to an event? Think about specifically what you want people to do, and all the social networks, they'll walk you through that when you start to create an ad. So the two examples you see up here are the first screens you see when you enter. On the left, it's Facebook, and on the right, it's Pinterest. And you can see that they try to walk you through it very clearly. Like, are you trying to build brand awareness? Are you trying to boost engagement with your pins? Or are you trying to get traffic to your website? So you need to think about this before you actually go into creating an ad on the social profile itself, on the social network. And of course, the thing that I like to talk about a lot is, who are you trying to reach? You need to really think about it. And in this case, I took some examples of the people registered here, and I put it in as Twitter handles. Like, that's the great thing about Twitter and Facebook social media promotions. You can actually target specific people and specific businesses. And what happens is your ad will show up to the people who are tweeting on behalf of that business, but also to that business's audience as well. And then it gives you an idea, all these, when you go into an ad manager, say for Twitter or LinkedIn or Facebook, you'll see this audience summary, and it'll tell you how specific your potential audience is. And it gives you a green zone or a red zone or whatever of where it's appropriate, and how much you're reaching that audience, what your potential is. So then the next question you got to ask yourself is, how will you connect? So where are your target audience hanging out? Maybe your business is a consumer to consumer, business to consumer, where you have a product or a tangible good. So then you're really looking for people probably on Pinterest and Instagram and Facebook, not so much on LinkedIn and Twitter. If you're a business to business, where you have a service to offer or a particular kind of app for businesses, then you want to think about LinkedIn and Twitter and even Facebook as well for that. So you need to think about, who is it you're trying to reach and where are they hanging out? And then while you're doing that, that will help you start to craft the messaging and the imagery that will resonate with that audience. And I'll give you some specific examples about that, because that's, I think, the biggest, most important thing. So Skipper Otto's Community Sportive Fishery, these are one of our clients, and they, the whole goal, so going back to those things that we needed to prepare before we set up our ad, we wanted to drive traffic to the website. So what we did was we created a blog post and on the web that we wanted to drive traffic to, because once they go to the blog post, then they're in the website and they might click around and get to know the business and actually become a member of this community supported fishery. So the whole main goal was to drive traffic to this blog post. So what we did was we set up Facebook and Instagram and Twitter ads that promoted this particular blog post. So we were targeting moms, or parents really, parents who care about their children getting involved in knowing what they eat and eating sustainable, healthy, premium food. So we wrote this ad to say, your kids will love this recipe made with wild BC chum salmon created by Chef Ned Bell. And as you can see, when it says your kids will love, we're specifically talking to a parent audience, but yet we're not segregating people don't feel alienated, but people who are parents will feel targeted. They'll feel like, oh, you're talking to me. So that's an example of writing your message in a way that resonates with your specific audience. In this example, this is another one of my favorite ones to show. So if you've been to some of my webinars, you'll see some of these clients over and over again because I just love them. So this RV Designs, we wanted to target, we actually created 3 sets of ads for 3 different kinds of audiences. We had an audience that was moms. We had an audience that were dude gift buyers. That's what we called them. Just guys who were going to diaper parties or just wanted to buy a gift for their friends who's having a baby. And then for the female gift buyer who is maybe more irreverent, not so into the cutesy stuff that's out there. So we created for the dude gift buyer subset, which is an audience that's rarely ever targeted. So it was ended up being really popular because it's an audience that's untapped for this kind of market. So these ads, I'll just read them out to you because I think you probably can't quite see them on the screen, but they are the dude gift buyers. Yeah, sorry, these ads reached like 90% of the traffic from these ads went to the website. Sorry, let me rephrase that. 90% of the traffic to the website were from these ads. So they were really successful. So what we did was, you can see the cute little baby sitting on the table, and it says, "The little dude abides." So that's a reference to The Big Lebowski, and it's so specific to a particular niche audience. But if you don't get the reference, it's not like, again, it's not alienating. You're not going to be turned off by it. But the guys who do get it are going to laugh and be like, "Oh, that's funny," right? The next one is "Now Comes Full of Stars," which is a reference to 2001 Space Odyssey. Again, very specific niche reference. Because the outfit has stars and galaxies on it, you might not really know where it came from. So you'd still like it, but if you get it, then it's like hitting that nostalgia point and hitting these emotional connections. So I super love these ads. By the way, I will be sending these slides to you afterwards and a recording of the webinar, so you will be able to look at these closer up afterwards. So, and from a business to business perspective, one of the examples, and I'm just using like Antenna as an example here, I went on a trade mission to sort of a mini conference in Atlanta in June, and I was on a panel called Socially Savvy. So what I did was I created some Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn ads that use that phrase, "become socially savvy." Join us June 28th for our next webinar, because I wanted to promote this webinar to that particular audience. And through Twitter, I targeted specific Twitter handles, specific users that I knew were in attendance or were supportive of this particular conference or trade mission. So that's a way where you can actually keep on top of mind for the people who you're meeting, and then also you know, just always be keeping on top of mind, but then they'll also think of you as credible for this particular niche subject area. So now you've thought about who you're targeting, what your goals are, and what platforms you're going to be on. So now what do you do? What's the next thing? Well, you need to actually start implementing. So on Facebook, you can boost a post. You've probably seen that blue button, and maybe you've done it. And boosting is a quick and easy way to get in there and start promoting your post beyond your fan base. So that's a good way to do it. But you can do better if you actually go straight through the ad manager, and I'll show you how here in a minute. Because boosting posts will give you some targeting, but you can get really specific and target your niche audience and have a lot more options if you actually go through the ad manager. So as you can see here on my screen, that on Facebook, there's a little triangle in the upper right-hand corner. If you click on that, it'll bring down this drop-down menu, and you can scroll all the way down to create adverts. Or if you've ever created an ad before, you can click manage adverts. You'll want to click one or the other. If you haven't set up your account before, you'll want to do create adverts, and Facebook will create what's called an ad manager. And then you can get in, and it might look overwhelming, but they're really good at walking you through each specific detail. So you're going to want to set aside some time to do this. It's not something you can just do in 5 minutes. You'll need at least half an hour, because you're going to want to read through each of the little details and make sure you're filling it in. And the same goes for Twitter. When you're logged into Twitter, you can click on your profile image, and you can see there's a little section called Twitter ads. Click on that, and once again, it'll open up an ad manager and walk you through the steps on how to set that up. And LinkedIn, same thing. Click on your profile, and you'll see something called advertising. And you can, I think if you haven't set it up yet, it'll say create. It might still say manage, I'm not sure, but once you have set it up once, it'll say manage, and you click on that, and it'll take you into LinkedIn's ad manager. No questions so far? Good. And Pinterest. So Pinterest ads are relatively new compared to the other social networks. So this one's a little bit different, but Pinterest is a little different. So when you have to make sure that your profile is set up as a business profile. And to do that, you can click on your profile picture and just, I believe there's a button that says, are you a business? And just follow those steps. Once you're a business, up in the left-hand corner in your menu, there is a button called Ads. And I would just start with the overview, because it'll walk you through everything step by step. Oh, and Instagram is a part of Facebook. So anytime you're running a Facebook promotion, you can choose to place your ads on Instagram as well. If you only want to run it on Instagram, you still go through the Facebook Ads Manager. You just remove all the other placement options. And all of these social networks, once you're in the Ad Manager, some of the really great aspects of it are that you can actually save audience profiles. So you can see I have a variety here that we use for different clients, and one for myself is Antenna Webinars, Women in Business or Marketing. And then you can see I've selected specific audiences and specific interests and all this kind of thing, and then you can save it and reuse it again in the future. All of the social networks also allow you to schedule your content. So as you're creating the ads, they don't need to go out right now. They don't get published immediately if you set the publishing date for in the future. And in the case of Twitter, for example, you might have 6 tweets related to one specific campaign that are just slightly different messages. You can schedule each one to go out on a different day. So you could have one going out tomorrow, another going out 2 days from now, et cetera, et cetera. So you can really control when things are rolling out. You might have a specific live event that you don't want anything going out until after the event's happened or during the event, and you can plan that all in advance. And then, of course, the best thing about all of this is that you can track and measure your progress. So I would go in, once you've set it up, go in daily and get yourself familiar with the analytics. It'll tell you how many impressions you're reaching, how many clicks. There's something called a click-through rate, or a CTR. That one, it might seem like Greek at first, because it usually will say things like in this example, 0.37%. And you might think, wow, that's really low. But actually, in the case of online ads, that's pretty decent. You can Google and find out what industry averages are for your particular industry. And then, yeah, I'd say an average click-through rate is 0.17%, depending on the platform, depending on the content, but that's a really rough average. So if you're getting over that, you're doing really well. And sometimes you'll get like 1.3 or 2%, and that's excellent. So click-through rate is really probably one of the best measurements, because that's saying how many people are actually clicking through and going and taking action on your ad. So once you're tracking and measuring, what's awesome is you can actually adjust on the fly. So if you feel like you're not getting the results that you want, at any point in time, you can change that ad. You can pause it. You can edit it. You can change the image or change the text just slightly, or you can change the call to action button. And I'll just talk about call to action quickly. So call to action is the thing, like in this case, it says learn more. It's like the button or the action that you want your audience to take, and then you can click. So, or then your audience can click. So think about that when you're preparing your ads as well. Is what's the call to action? Is it learn more? Is it contact us? Is it shop now, buy now, register here, that kind of thing. So I think that about wraps it up. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them now. I'll stick around here and you can ask me any questions. You can also feel free to reach out to me by email or through social media and ask me questions at any time. I'm going to send you tips from this webinar, a link to the archive, upcoming webinar schedule. I'm not going to do a webinar in December just because it's too busy for everyone. So I'll do the next one at the end of January. I think it's looking like January 27th. And I'm going to have a guest. Her name is Princess Learmond, and she helps businesses grow. So we're going to talk about growing your business, some strategies, and then we'll add on how to use social media, help you grow based on her strategic ideas. And I'll send you some special offers. And I am going to be creating, I said this fall, I guess we're well into fall now. I'm going to be creating an online course. It just takes a lot longer than I expected. So stay tuned for that. You're going to hear more about that as we go along. So any questions? How are we doing for time? Oh, yes, perfect timing. Well, thank you, everyone, for attending. And I hope we'll see you again at the next one. I'm just watching for your questions. That's why I keep looking over here. All right, well, thanks, everyone. Feel free to sign off, and I will send you all this information later. Great. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a nice day. Oh, wait, we have a question. Do most people spend most ad money on Facebook? It depends, again, on your business. If you're using Facebook a lot, you will, of course, be promoting your posts on Facebook. In terms of costs, LinkedIn is the most expensive per click or per impression. Impression is how many people you've reached. Twitter can be pricey, but it can, if your content's good, it'll be, if your content's good, the price of your clicks and the price of your impressions will be lower because more people are interested in clicking through. So that's why, like, having a combo of really good content will help with your budget. But you could be looking at anywhere between, besides creating the content and managing the ads, the actual clicks on, like, the actual payments to Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, the budget is up to you. So it could be like as low as 20 cents per click, or it could be $3 per click. Sometimes it could even be like $14 per click, but that's only if you're in a really highly competitive market. All right. How do you generate content that targets specific audiences? So there's a lot of ways to do that. One of the things I highly recommend is creating what's called an avatar or a profile of your ideal audience. Like, think of it as a specific person and a day in the life of that person. And it could be that you have a client or a customer that is your perfect customer and you just want more of them. If you have a good relationship with that person, sit down with them and pick their brain and ask them what are the things that they're searching online, and just try to get to know them really well. And then that way, you know how you'll get a sense of how to, the kind of messages that that particular client wants to hear. I mean, this is one of the things too, you could do a lot of research on, the demographics, the psychographics, which is people's interests and values and lifestyles. You could do a lot of research on that to help you figure that out. But that's where like having talented agencies and stuff to help you out, like that's what we do really well, is help you craft the message that actually resonates with your audience. Yes, and Greg's reminding me here that you really need to think about the problem that you're solving. Like I said, what are they already searching for online in order to find your product or you, maybe even before they know you exist? If you know those questions, you can start providing the answer to those questions. So I hope that helps. It's a big question, and that I could do probably a whole course on that alone because it's so in depth. So another question is, how does the payment work? Do you pay ahead of time and set a budget, say $100 over a week, or do you have an unlimited amount as long as you can get the most reach? Are you charged before or after people see it? Great question. In all instances, you can do either. You can set a daily maximum limit, so you can say, oh, I'm willing to spend $10 a day forever on this particular ad or promoted post. And then you can always go in and change the promoted post occasionally. So you just kind of have it constantly ongoing. And you only get paid after people have clicked. So it's in, Facebook and LinkedIn's and Twitter's best interest to actually show your ad to the relevant audience that you've chosen to get those clicks. And I have found that, and you can also set the lifetime budget. So if you only have $100 and you want to promote, a specific thing for a specific length of time, you can put that in as well. There usually are daily minimums. I remember there was a time when Facebook, it was $5 minimum daily, but it was $5 US. I'm not sure if they've adjusted that because we usually end up spending more than that. But the key is to maximize your budget, because if you do say the $10 a day for unlimited, you're going to see like a spike in the early days, and then it'll start to dwindle. The interest will start to dwindle because people will start getting sick of seeing that same content over and over again. So what I recommend is that you pick a concentrated amount of time, like whether it's 3 or 4 days or maybe even a week, and pick a specific budget like $50, $200, whatever it is, and concentrate your budget in a short period of time. And you can look at your Facebook specifically. You can actually look at your insights to see what time of day and what day of the week people are on their platform the most, and then you can even target your ads for those specific days. So those are some things you want to keep in mind as well. Okay, great. Any other questions before we wrap up? Fabulous. Well, thanks again for showing up. And like I said, you can reach out anytime, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I think we're going to say goodbye now. So thanks so much, and we'll see you next time. Ciao.